Peter Bennett.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming in.
My name is Shiva.
Take a seat and we'll start the process.
Okay, Shiva Center.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Peter. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How was your drive in?
Well, it's not that difficult of a drive, but it was pretty smooth actually. Yes.
Kind of unusual weather for December, so.
Well, definitely yes. It was very raining yesterday, but today it's like really good.
Well, listen, we're excited you're here. Just to give you a little context, we floated this job vacancy. We had over 500 applicants, and we're in the process of inviting people in. You passed the phone interview screen.
Okay.
We've invited 5 people in for in-person interviews,
Sure.
and we expect by the end of next week that we'll make a decision.
Okay, that's
Okay.
great. Sounds great. Thank you.
Give a little context. You want to add into that?
Well, nothing for now. You know, like you said, we have a couple of people we're going to be interviewing, so probably I don't want to wrap it up quickly.
Okay.
Take too much of your time.
Okay. Speak now.
And you might want to hold it to it. I think
So
we're all
we
holding.
wouldn't take too much of your time.
Sure.
But yeah, I think we can.
Okay.
So if I can just kind of kick it off, you have a very impressive resume. Obviously,
Thank
that's,
you.
that's a big reason we're here. So
Sure.
we're going to kind of bounce around a little bit. You know, Addie's got a line of questioning, as I do. But I'd really like to talk about your internship at Prodigy.
Okay.
And tell me what that was about. What was that like for you?
Sure. I worked as a quantitative analyst intern at eProdigy Financial. It is one of the alternative finance companies that is based in New York. So the business model of this particular firm is to lend loan services to these clients which are basically rejected by the banks. So which evidently goes with saying that this particular banks have a very high risk profile associated with them.
Okay.
So that's the kind of business that they do. And my role in the organization was basically to help them with auditing their work, performing quantitative analysis, such as like preparing their account statements, income statements, and especially when we are trying to calculate what is the exposure that we have, what is the loss given default a particular client is going into default, and what is the recovery rate that we are going to get back from this particular client that we are doing business with.
So what did you like best about that experience?
Well, it was a short-term kind of experience because I'm currently doing a graduate program in the University of Connecticut as Masters in Financial Risk Management program. So it was very interesting for me because that's a way where I can actually get some practical experience and good exposure to the financial services industry because the firm was located in Wall Street. So it was a great experience for me to actually align to that. I was performing some kind of analysis which are mostly associated with the kind of experience that I'm getting from my grad program.
Okay.
So I really enjoyed the experience and it really helped me a lot to boost my career.
Yeah, I'm actually sort of interested in the experience with Deloitte because
Yes.
I had like the early part of my career with Deloitte as well.
Oh really? Okay, that's
Yes.
great.
So it's kind of interesting, because this is a risk-related role,
Yes.
and then I can see some things related to CCAR and the likes here. So can you tell me what exactly you did related to CCAR?
Yes, sure. So basically, CCAR is one of these stress testing projects that are undertaken by all the financial institutions that happened after the global financial crisis in 2008. So the main purpose of doing the CCAR is to estimate the health of these financial institutions when they are experiencing severely distressed situations, or let's say that if the market is going as normal, how is this bank is going to react? So CCAR, I worked as a consultant to Citibank, hired by Deloitte. So my major responsibilities during this particular project was to help the bank. I was on the client side, which is at Citibank. So my major responsibilities were to actually help them with calculating their exposures and defaults, and also what is the risk-weighted assets that are coming out of this exposures and default. So that was one of the major tasks that I'm responsible for. In addition to this, I was also participating in helping them with their Excel analysis. I built some automations in VBA for them. And at the same time, I was also focusing on some extra ad hoc requests that are coming from the business side. The business was based in New York. I was in Mumbai, India. So any kind of ad hoc requests or any other kind of facilitating requests that we get from the clients, so we just kind of address them and go ahead.
Okay, that's because I was thinking the experience is in India,
Yeah.
and then the current role is in the US. So I was
Yes.
thinking, how will you be able to transform basically the knowledge you had from your prior experience to this role? But then, like you mentioned, it was in New York, so I think that's pretty much sees it.
Yeah, that actually goes with the saying, because even though although I was working with Deloitte in India, so it is technically called the offices of the US in India. So we work 24 by 7. That's like when I sign out of work, my counterparts here in the US, they sign in, and when they sign out, I sign in correspondingly. So it was like a very good transition between both the US and India.
That's terrific. Why did you pick UConn? Just curious, how did you end up here?
Yeah, I really like this question because when I was working with Citibank, actually my experience at Citibank was one of the major reasons why I actually came for a program at UConn. It's when I was working with Citibank, I was from a technical background because if you can see it from as it is evident from my resume that I had an undergrad in engineering. So when I was working with Citibank, it was not that easy for me to catch up with the business concepts. But at the same time, I felt like, if I could furnish my knowledge much better on the business side as well, then I could actually improve as a much more advanced career professional. So that's one of the reasons. So I was actually going through programs which can give me a good balance between the technical and the functional aspects. I mean the risk management in precise. So that's when I came across the UConn program and I applied for it, and I got an admission there with a scholarship. Yeah.
Okay, good. I can see a list of technical areas.
Yeah.
You have SAS, VBA, SQL, R. So how good are you with R and Python? Because basically that's what we use.
That's what we are. So basically, most of my experience and my knowledge set was basically with SAS, the SAS Statistical Advanced System, and the Excel VBA along with SQL Server. R and Python, I learned them as part of my graduate program. So we had designed some couple of projects using R, and now currently I'm actually doing an e-learning program on Python as well. So I must say that I'm currently in the learning phase, but with SAS, Excel VBA, and SQL Server, I must say that I'm like really advanced with using those tool sets. Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a quick learner?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Now I noticed also you've been doing some TA work.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. What's that? How were you chosen? How did that come about?
Yes. So when I was done with my internship, I was actually into my last semester. That started in August. Excuse me. That started in August. So that's when I got this particular email from one of my from the management saying that I'm being chosen as one of the TAs. So being chosen as one of the TAs is not an easy job because we are a class of 80 and there could only four students who could make it until that far. So I was really excited about the job because I always like teaching. So it's not just that I keep the things to myself, but if I can actually help the people around myself like to grow along with the knowledge that I have, share with them. So I thought it's a great opportunity for me. And I also liked it because it's a great way to improve my communication skills, because most of my students are from China and India and from different countries. It's a great way to interact with them, get to know their cultures and everything. So it's a great experience actually.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at some of the projects that you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's part of the graduate school
Yes.
studies, and some of them look pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There's something that talks about determining value at risk for portfolios using delta normal and the like. Can you explain what exactly you did?
So this was one of the major projects that we did during our grad program, because as I'm doing a program in risk management, value at risk is one of the sophisticated models that is being used across the industry. So technically, the value at risk calculation is being done using 3 different approaches. One is the delta normal approach, one is the historical simulation approach, and then you go with the Monte Carlo simulation. So as part of the project, so this one I participated during my financial risk modeling 3 class. So during that time, what happened technically was we were given a project, we were given a hypothetical portfolio and asked to estimate the variance using 2 different approaches, delta normal and historical simulation. So in delta normal, all that we try to do is calculate the mean and then calculate the standard deviation and then just use this basic formula mu plus sigma times z at a particular confidence level that's already being determined. So that's how you get the value at risk for delta normal. And at the same time, when you are actually trying to do the calculations using historical simulation, that's when you sort all your losses in the order of decreasing magnitude, and then you try to pick up the n times 5% plus 1 loss. So that's when you pick up the bad number for that particular portfolio.
Okay, so what the results of the VAR test, did they sort of feed into any recommendations, or what was the essence at the end of the day when you get your VAR estimates? What was it used for?
Definitely, yeah. So that's a great question. So basically, the outcome of this particular project was to determine whether the portfolio is doing good or the portfolio is doing bad. So let's say that I can say that when I was doing this particular project, the VAR number came out to be around $9,000 or something. So that means that I need to have sufficient capital to absorb these kind of losses if they keep happening in the future. So that's the recommendation that I have given as part of the project to the facilitator. Yeah.
Just curious with the UConn program, what have you liked most about the program, and what's been the most challenging part for you?
Yeah, in terms of the graduate program, I must definitely say that there are some things that I really liked and there are definitely some challenges. Challenges were initially when I joined the program because I come from India, so it's not that easy to adapt to the culture here in the US, and the education style and everything is pretty much different. So, but still, I could really, the first semester was a little hard for me. The first few days in the first semester was a little hard for me, but later on I catched up with the things. I was talking to the professors and everything, and I can bring myself up to speed, like what's really going on, what is that I'm going to learn about from a practical perspective. So that was really one of the challenges. The curriculum was really sophisticated. That's being designed for the program. The second semester, the courses that I took in the second semester were not that easy, especially for a student who is coming from technical background. So, but still I could really do well because of my hard work. And at the same time, there were some areas which I really liked was the class. It was a very diverse class because I had my classmates from all across different parts of the world, and it's a great way to know about them and how exactly they have been tuned to their system and everything. And the other thing is the professors are really helpful. They keep you like motivated all through this semesters. Like if at all you run up with any kind of questions or anything, you can just walk into their offices, get it resolved, and then you can actually have a very nice semester. And on the top of it, I really like the lifestyle here in the US. That's from a personal perspective, not from a professional perspective.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Good. Well, it looks like the program, the way you have described it, seems to be a lot more mathematical compared to like a pure finance program, right?
Yes.
So, so I'm also finding it a little difficult, sort of differentiating it from the normal financial engineering program. So maybe you should just educate me a little bit, like what's the difference between the program and like the financial general ones?
Oh, yeah, that's a fantastic question actually, because most people think that when they want to do a quant-related program, the first thing that comes into the student's mind is the financial engineering program. So financial engineering is one such a kind of program where you get to learn a lot of programming and do advanced mathematics. So, and you end up in the front office where you actually help traders to design their models or trading models. You give them some kind of ideas to actually improve their profits and everything. But the program that I'm pursuing right now it's a specialization within risk management. Specialization within finance is called risk management. So the basic advantage of this program is it sounds technical because anything that you develop in finance, you should really be adept with the technical side of the projects, but like being really good with mathematics. But for this particular program, it is not that necessary for you to have a very good understanding on mathematics and programming. Definitely there were certain instances when we were actually asked to learn programming, but the professors are really helpful for you, like they give you different kinds of ways where we can actually go into. That's one thing where people would love to explore. So if you can actually improve yourself on the technical side and at the same time on the risk side, then I would see that as a fantastic combination.
Ishita, if as I think about you as a candidate, as I said, we have 4 other people coming in this week.
Yes.
We're late in the process. If I asked people who know you, some of your classmates,
Yeah.
professors and so forth, and they had 3 words to describe you, what 3 words would those be?
I would definitely say the 3 words would be hardworking, committed, and a good team player. Yes, definitely yes.
Okay. Good. Well, because I currently work in the unit where you're likely to, sort of team you're likely to join if you scale through the interview process. So I will just throw one more question, because I just need to be sure we have the right guy.
Okay.
So, how familiar are you with Greeks?
Oh, yes, I did study Greeks when I was in my 2nd semester. So, do you want me to get any particular Greek in particular, or
Like, what Greeks are you familiar
Oh, sure.
with?
So Greeks are basically used in market risk management. So Greeks are a great way to actually determine the risk potential from your derivatives. So the major 4 Greeks that we keep studying throughout the program was like delta, gamma, theta, and vega. So Greeks are one such a kind of parameters which help you estimate what is the loss on the portfolios that are comprising the derivatives. When I say about derivatives, the options in particular. So yeah.
Okay, good. So what do you think, how important or why is it important to a risk manager? Because this is a risk function, it's a risk role.
Yes.
So of course to the traders you understand why it's necessary, but then to the risk manager, why do you think it's necessary?
For the risk manager, it is definitely necessary because if, let's say, the portfolios that we see in financial institutions are very diverse. There are definitely some portfolios which are on the derivatives, there are some portfolios which are on the fixed income. For a trader, it is definitely helpful because he can keep a track of like how much money the particular trader is making. But at the same time, we also have to look at the downside, like what is the risk that he is going for. As we get from the basic CAPM model, like higher the risk, the more the return. So basically this particular, for a risk management perspective, so this rigs help us to estimate what are the losses that we are going to incur for a risk manager. I mean, like exactly if we are going to see how much losses are we going to make, then accordingly we can actually restrict the trader to not make such kind of a transactions which might put the bank's capital at risk.
Okay.
So that's the major advantage with going ahead with the rigs.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I thought I was going to stop with that, but sorry, I just have to ask.
Sure, go ahead.
So have you done anything related to sort of credit risk?
Yes, so currently I'm doing my final semester in the program. So we have one dedicated course for credit risk management.
Okay, good. So if I asked you if you've heard of terms like potential future exposures,
Yes.
credit exposures, are you familiar with this term?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so can you sort of differentiate between valued risk and potential future exposures?
Sure. Difference between value at risk and potential future exposure is technically value at risk tells you on a particular day or a particular time frame how certain are you that you are not going to incur a loss greater than a certain magnitude forever. That's from a loss perspective. Potential future exposure deals with the counterparty risk, majorly with the counterparty risk side. So potential future exposure gives you one such a kind of situation where you can actually see at a particular time with certain confidence level what is the exposure that I have from a client. So it is not majorly with the loss, because until and unless this particular party is going into default, you are not suffering the loss. But value at risk directly deals into with the loss, and it gives you the magnitude, like this is the loss that you can expect at 95% confidence level or 99% confidence level. Potential future exposure also tells you the same thing, but it's not the loss in particular, it's the exposure that you have. When they are going into default, you might expect that this is the amount that you're going to lose.
Okay. So
I hope that answers your question.
Eddie's on a roll. I'm gonna jump back in.
Okay.
So, if you had to give me two of your strengths,
Sure.
what would they be?
Two of my strengths, I mean, I must definitely say I'm a great team player, and I'm a quick learner as well. So, given the environment, I can quickly adjust to the situations there, I can adapt to the work style, I can easily get along with the people over there, so I would definitely say they are my two great strengths. Yeah.
Okay, and conversely, what scenario you need to work on? What's your weakness that you have?
When I was I'm currently working on this particular weakness. So when I was working back in India, so I was sometimes getting a little impatient when the things are not being done. So when you're working in a group of 4 or 5, sometimes there might be other professionals who are not completely catching up to your speed, or they might be like reluctant with working with you, or there might be some situations. So earlier I used to really get impatient, but now I'm like trying to work around with the people, like really what's going on. So let's try to figure it out. Come out with some methods where we can actually work out this issue or anything like that. Yeah.
So I'm interested in, as a follow-up to that weakness that you're working on.
Yeah.
Here you're teaching many first-year students,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Who do not have the knowledge set that you have.
Yes.
So do you think that has helped you become more patient, or has it made you more impatient?
I would definitely say that it has helped become more patient, because when I'm actually teaching a class of 40 students, I cannot expect everyone to align with what exactly I'm teaching. There are some students who might not have followed with the concepts that I did, but I always used to give them a line of communication saying that if you are not catching up with the concepts, just write to me. We can actually set up a one-on-one meeting where I can help you with your studies. So I was trying to act a little impatient with those students, because I can understand they just came from a different country and they are doing a program with which they are not that versed with, and it's a great way for them to actually experience this, and I'm doing my best to support them. Yeah.
So I'm actually thinking, considering you have some experience with consulting,
Yes.
I'm wondering what would be your favorite role, because we're a risk department for an investment bank, and the business model is quite different. So do you
Yeah.
think you would fit in well in investment banking, considering you're coming from a consulting background?
Yes. So coming from a consultant, as I just told you, one of my greatest strengths would definitely be adapting to any kind of environment. I would definitely say that the work style in a consulting company and the work style in an investment bank is definitely not the same. But now that I'm doing a program in Grad Finance, the moment I have taken this decision, I decided that I should definitely be exploring a career in investment banking, because I must say that throughout my experience and the kind of skill set that I have gained over my program, I must say that I can definitely adapt to the investment banking world. I'll explain the rest. Yes.
So I think we're about to bring it to a close. I'm going to ask you a question. If I gave you 48 hours,
Okay.
okay, all expenses paid,
Okay, that's great.
you could do whatever you wanted to do,
Sure.
what would you do?
I would just take a flight and go to Las Vegas.
Did you bring anybody with you, or?
Well, I'll find someone there, right?
Okay,
Rather than
fine.
taking
We better stop with the follow-ups on that.
Yes, definitely, yes.
Listen, thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Peter. It was great talking to you.
All right.
Thank you, Ali. It was great talking to you.